りおしまい。
All right, welcome back, Dragon Ballers, to Get the Mic, the only show where your host on the left, Owl,
and your host on the right, Brock,
dissect fiction for its mythological significance. We're back, and I forgot to change the frickin' title. I knew I forgot something.
It's Goku's doll.
It's
Again,
not Goku's.
part
We're not.
two.
No, that's dumb. We're not doing that.
An episode so complex, it's taking two parts. That's a visual joke. So if you're listening to this, the episode title on the stream still said Goku's doll. But we covered that in one episode. It is
We're done with
really
that,
a brilliant analysis. So if you haven't listened to that one, what are you doing here?
It's true, and I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was. I thought we uncovered some in the dialectic, and I thought we also had some good things to say that I don't think people have said about this collection of episodes.
Why? No, I think it was actually a really good episode, especially for the end of it. So stick around to the end.
Yeah, get us those watch hours. We have more than ever actually right now. So we appreciate that. All of you guys that are watching. I think we had like 30 or I think max like 50 watch hours, which is kind of nuts because normally we had like 30. And I think it measures it like per week. Normally we had like 3 during our long hiatus. So seems like you guys are at least watching. Those few of you that do watch, you at least watched most of it. So that's good. And finally, I can get back to my little spiel there. So, dissect fiction for its mythological significance. Today, we're talking about Dragon Ball, specifically episode 131, Walking Their Own Ways, or in the Japanese, it's Each on His Own Path, which is basically the same thing, more or less. Yeah, basically. Um.
Hmm,
hmm,
It,
Anyway,
it's a weird set of names. I'm interested to get further into this episode and talk about why these two names specifically were chosen for this episode. I'm just curious what your opinion is on it, but
I think
that's
that's
my interest
a
going into this episode.
conclusion. It's a concluding part, I'd say, probably concluding discussion. Anyways,
Yeah.
so yes. Any housekeeping stuff before we start? Not really. We had a couple of weeks that we weren't able to record, but now we're back. We should be recording probably pretty regularly, I hope, at least once a week, maybe 2 episodes a week, maybe both back to back as we've been doing. We'll just have to see what we can manage, but we're gonna try and get
Mhm.
through because we're getting to a really important and thrilling part of the story, and then we get into another awesome thrilling part of the story, which is all of Z. So stick around. We have a lot of good stuff to cover. We still are talking about good stuff right now. I actually do like this arc, even though, like, this mini filler arc, even though I was very down on episode 129. Um, but I think that's just about it before we get into the episode. Anything you had to add, Barack?
I think episode 129 was kind of a scary episode, right? Like we went that many episodes without having one where we didn't have something to say. And it was like a,
128 is a
oh
lot,
my
yeah.
god. It was the first time I think that we really just ran up against an episode and went like, yeah, nah, this ain't it.
Well, I also think it goes to, and I hope this isn't. I hope. I guess this isn't taken the wrong way, is what I was going to say. But I hope it's a testament to our genuine, like, analysis, live reaction to the dialectic we're engaging in, right? That we would come across an episode like that, and if we didn't see merit in it, we wouldn't say there was some. We're not gonna try and make up
Yeah.
stuff for no reason. Is more of what I'm getting at there. So hopefully that is
Yeah, there's
how it's taken.
yeah, that was I think the name of the show, Get the Mic, is kind of based on that because it's kind of spur of the moment, like let's just talk about this for the first time and see what the dialectic bears out. And what was so impressive to me about working on the earlier part of the show was just seeing that it always played out into something. So
Always,
it
yeah.
was kind of like a weird moment to, for the first time, come up against an episode that didn't spark some kind of insightful dialectic, thing,
Even
you
the
know?
filler, even the filler before.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it wasn't like a canonical, necessary episode, it would thematically line up and have a purpose, like a place in the story when you understand what the story is, know?
Right, and I
But
guess what we
yeah.
were kind of saying last episode is that it does 129 does have a place in the larger story, but it in itself is like not worthwhile, I guess. That's how I would say
Yeah,
it.
it's not necessary for the analysis. The other episodes cover the themes better than it can, so it doesn't seem to have a place, you know?
Mm-hmm. But anyways, if you want to hear more about our discussion there, go ahead and go back to last episode. We talked more about episode 129, its larger role in the mythos, and we might come back to it
Yeah.
later in this episode. But let's go ahead and start. So, each on his own path. So the first thing we see in this is the four oh the actually the first thing we see is the drumming. That's right. So we get this drumming sequence in a forest, and there's the statue, looks like one of the toilet demons, and we see that the four boys are continuing their journey to Corn's tower, and they're camping outside, as Tien is the only one not asleep. He hears drums in the distance, and the rest of them also hear it. Yeah. Chiaotzu has like some a premonition about what's going to happen, and we'll get into that as it does happen, and we see more of the dancing, and then we go to Goku, which I love this transition right here.
This animation of them dancing, I almost messaged you to say, "Hey, can you just save that and loop it? We'll just play that on a loop at the end of the episode because it's so funny."
It's really great. Here we go.
It seems like a meme template. Look at this.
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely
incredible.
need to do that. Definitely need to do that.
It's like Crab Rave in Dragon Ball.
Anyways, it's pretty good. So we just get a little intonation of it there, and I think we'll have more to say on this later. But we do see kind of cult like activity here. We see there's like a demon with a pitchfork they seem to be worshiping, and they're all wearing more or less demon masks, right? Chaozu's had like this premonition, so he's saying something bad's gonna happen. So we kind of get this intonation that this is gonna be some kind of earthly malice the boys are going to encounter, and we're gonna see how that works out for them. It is significant that Tien's the one that's awake. He's the one that's most enlightened. Obviously, with his third eye, he can kind of sense some key as well. We've kind of gotten some intonations of that from him, and so here he's kind of in tune with something being maybe not disharmonious, but something's going on. Other than that,
Something's wrong, you
something's
know?
wrong.
Uh,
Sure, yeah. And I think that actually it does have to go into, or it does have something to do with Chaozu being the let's say the offering the portent of doom for these for what's going to happen
yeah.
for these events. And it has to it goes hand in hand because like we've said in the relation with Tien and Chiaotzu, right? um that being this disembodied potentiality that Tien always has with him, right? Is going to be the thing that can, even though Tien himself is not able to like articulate or see or to foresee those things, Chiaotzu is able to portend it, basically.
Well, let's tie that in also to what's going on with Goku, right?
Sure.
Because at this given time, Goku's lesson that he's learning is sort of how his how he's staying on top of the lookout through his body's ability to react instinctually when he's not able to uh, conceptualize a higher order of being than he's currently embodying. Um, and there's this interesting element of like, so like Tien as a character to me is kind of filling this Goku role while Goku is up in the lookout going through his spiritual training. And he's bringing along Krillin and Yamcha with him, but there's this element of it where it's like it's obviously Tien who is the spearhead of this group, also being the world's strongest prior to Goku, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, and so it's this interesting dynamic, I guess, that you can look at with him while he's coming into the situation, and there's the mask. I guess we can get into it as we get further into this episode, but the presence of the mask and it being something that is evident but also easily ignored, you know.
What do you mean easily ignored? You
In
mean
the
like
sense that
overlooked?
yeah, that
Okay. Sure.
Tien would be he would feel that it was an effect of his third eye that he saw through the demon mask to see these innocent looking people and not necessarily understanding the higher order of coming into the situation, which is like the form of what he's looking up against, like a whole
Right. Sure.
monument
Well,
statue to a demon.
Yeah, and we'll get there in a
Yeah,
second. So
but yeah.
anyway,
Anyway,
so but yeah, I think that's I think that's on point for what we're about to talk about for sure.
yeah,
We but all we see right now is that so we don't really know if they're innocent people or not, but we do know that like TN is getting this intuition about it. We do also know that TN has a dark past, all this. And so would be more in tune with this like malice spirit that we kind of get some intonations about um as we go through. But then it shifts. This shift here is what I was talking about, Brock. This part where it goes up to like this.
this shift.
Yeah, like this change in the scene is so I like it a lot. And then it goes
Oh,
to
following the thread up. Yeah,
yes. It's like a cosmic thread, boys. So
it's man, I can't believe I didn't really notice that shot before whenever I watched it. Maybe because it was kind of blown out on the resolution I was watching it, but I didn't see the pole. Like it
I
just didn't
see.
show up to me when I was watching it because it's such a thin line.
Yeah.
But it looks awesome for what we had talked about before. Also, just like the spheres emanating down.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. And we can see if we just go from here, right? I mean, we can't see Corn's tower. It's too far away. That's okay because we can see the whole axis here. Go all the way up. It's so I like it a lot. It really is a visual representation of what I mean. It's like perfect filmmaking because it's a visual representation of an idea presented in a way
Yeah.
that's mimetic. And yeah, and then we get to see the shape, which we pointed out several times. Right, the shapes are important. Corins is completely closed, round on both sides. Um,
This is open at the top,
this is
like a
open at the
bowl.
top. Baba's is closed at the bottom, or open
Hmm.
at the bottom, I guess.
And
Domed.
then also, Baba's is where we found the statues of the toilet demons that are so like the statue we just saw.
Yes. And it is and it well, we'll get there. We'll get there when we get to the toilet demon. The toilet demon, oh my gosh.
The
Anyways,
toilet demon.
I just keep on calling him the toilet demon. So anyways, up here let me change something. I don't know how to get this back. It's all bugged out right now. Oh, there we go. No, that doesn't help me at all. Maybe it does. There we go. Okay. I just wanted it to be full screen. So, at the upper world, Mr. Popo works with Goku on concentrating. He wakes up, all that. And so he basically says that today Popo and Goku are going to play tag. Basically, Popo is blindfolded and he's going to try and catch Goku, and then it's going to be the other way around. And he basically explains this to him, and Goku tries to run to avoid being found, but he fails. Popo catches him and tosses him to the ground. Goku then attempts to chase Popo around in turn, but cannot evade him. But still cannot catch him, basically. I don't know why I said evade. Throughout the training, Goku struggles with controlling his mind and distractions, which prevent him from perfectly sensing and reacting. But we do see some intonations of it, although, like Popo said last time, he's got a lot to learn. So I'm just going to let some of this play out while we discuss the blindfolded tag game, let's say.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect representation of what we were talking about in the last episode about there's a difference between concealing your key and detecting key that uh, that showed up at the end of the interaction last time whenever he was fighting his doll. So now Popo is separating it and saying, okay, we're going to take turns essentially trying to sense each other's key. And then also, if you're being chased, it's your opportunity to try to figure out how to hide your key.
Right, exactly. And it's something that we'll see later when Goku is trying to chase Popo. Because for right
But
now,
at this point, the only thing he can do is try to hide his key. And Popo tells him that explicitly.
he doesn't
Hide
he
your
doesn't even
key.
try.
That's your role.
That's the
Goku
problem
goes,
with
I'm going
the
to just
yeah.
try to run as fast as I can.
I'm gonna be the fastest guy, remember.
I'm going to be the fast guy.
And he fails because he's not gonna be faster than the flows of the universe. Oh my gosh, why can't I pause it at this part? There we go. He can't be faster than that. So
this could be the icon for the episode.
the thumbnail, yeah. I wanted to do
for
the
the
toilet
thumbnail.
demon because we're gonna say some things about the toilet demon.
Yeah.
But, we weren't calling him the toilet demon when I decided to put him as the thumbnail, by the way. I mean, he doesn't even have his tongue out. He's not even on the toilet. I don't know where Brock is. Just he's painting all these demons with a broad brush, you know.
A toilet-shaped brush, yes. A toilet brush, if you will.
Oh my god. Anyway, so we'll get back to Goku shortly. But the boys are going to come across a group of cultists. They're going to hold him up with their tridents. Everyone has a trident. Everyone has a mask. And it looks like... What happened to the cute girls is hilarious. And it looks like they're busted, right? And then here comes the fake out. It's actually what Brock had said earlier, that the villagers are innocent and they invite them to come. They're basically normal. They come through and they regard the mountain as their protective god who they have embodied in a statue. And so the villagers invite them to the mountain festival, and a young woman named Mint is introduced specifically with a relationship to Krillin. And her brother Paul is a fighter in the festival who Krillin will interact with a little bit later. But anything we want to say... Actually, there's a lot of things we need to say, so let me go back to this part. So when we're looking at the mask here, like obviously this looks like the one of the statue of the demon that we're gonna see later, or I guess we might stop calling him a demon because they just see him as a god, right? But it is something that this that is representative, and now that we know the villagers regard the mountain as their god. The god of the mountain is this demon looking thing, the toilet demon, which for lack of a better name, I guess we're just gonna freaking call him the toilet demon. So anyways, we can see that these people are just trying to embody that, right? They're trying to express their culture more or less, and it's something that the boys are coming up against more or less without any presupposition. Like they're kind of out to fight and like try to get stronger that way, to be the fastest. And so I think it's almost imprinting in this first part the lack of cultural knowledge and like, oh, you know, these people have come to capture us per se, even though like Tien and them could just beat them all up, whatever. That's not the point. The point is that they're kind of seeing what they're looking for, And when it's a surprise here, they're not like taken captive. It's kind of explained. So without going into, because we're going to talk about the toilet demon in a second, but without going into him as much, what do you have to say here, Brock?
Well, one thing that I think is interesting is I was saying earlier that Tien kind of represents like a protagonist role here, having been the strongest on Earth, and it's pretty clear that unless anything has changed that we don't know about, he's the strongest person on Earth right now, right? Because Goku is up in his training, so you have Tien followed by Krillin and Yamcha, but he has this ominous experience with Chaozu where he's like something bad is going to happen. And then he comes up to a group of people that he finds in the woods, and they all have demon painted right on their face. Like, we are demons with tridents coming to get you.
Right, and
And
also I
then
guess we should
suddenly,
talk about the trident real quick. The 3-pointed trident, right?
sure, what do you have to say about that?
So I was gonna save this for the statue. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway, I just find it interesting that then his first impression of all these people is to see them as these aggressive, like demon mask wearing people, and then they all suddenly reveal themselves to be just regular cool people in a town that are celebrating a holiday for their culture and come through. And there's this thing that it's almost like if you're TN, you would see that as a portent of the experience you just had with Jiaosu, who represents what you were saying earlier, right? Which is this sort of like potential that's extrapolated out that is it's almost like an effect of your third eye. And so are you thinking to yourself, "Oh, are these people actually aggressive?" Is that insight, or is that would you then be like, "Oh, it's a function of my third eye that I see these people as they really are and not actually as the demons that they would originally appear as."
I see. Yeah.
And so it anyway, I think it is tied into that, like Tien's perception
Well,
essentially is what I'm getting at.
right, and I think you're onto something in a way there because um there is a very strong element of the mystery of the world that the boys have to experience, right? Getting away from their master. This is and it's interesting, the last filler arc we had with Goku doing this, right? That was when Broshi was like, you have to go around without the Nimbus cloud and like
Mhm.
travel the world.
And he was coming up against demons, literal demons.
Right. And the mystery of the world, it and this has to do with Goku as well. The mysteries of the world and like the mechanics of the universe, it is stronger for a person to be open to those things than not. And this is kind of testing the boys right here because it's the mystery of like, why would these people dress up as demons, but are you open to the idea that these might be people that are just normal?
Yeah.
And so I think it is a little bit of a play on the openness, emptiness that we've been seeing throughout this whole mini arc. But yeah, I think anything else you want to say before we move on to the statue?
No, I think that's a good segue to talk about the statue and what they find here.
All right, let me get to the statue. Oh my gosh, Krillin. Oh wait, do we already miss it? I guess it's early. Oh wait, here we go. Here we go. Oh. So we do also get this real quick, the wide shot. I like this for a variety of reasons. It's just good filmmaking to have this wide shot so we know where everything is, so that later on when the
Yeah.
boys are running around, we're not like, hey, where'd that rock come from?
An establishing shot in my anime,
In our day and age, I mean, this is actually older than
it's
us,
pretty
so
rare.
like
No, it's also
today.
good, like representative storytelling where you have the ideas broken out in front of you.
Hmm. Very much so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so you have like, well, I don't want to spoil it. We'll get into it. We'll talk
But
about it.
it's
We'll
yeah, as
definitely
it
talk
plays
about
out,
it throughout
each of
the
these we could
interplay.
bring
Yeah,
this image back up and kind of point it back out, right?
yeah, for sure. Did I? Is it paused? Oh goodness. It's doing that thing where it's like, I'm done playing for you. Why is it being so stupid? Here's the shot. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. That's what I was wanting this whole time. So, let me quickly talk about the trident. So, the trident, it's a three-pronged spear, basically, and it's associated in the West with like Poseidon, and later on, more satanic imagery, like Satan, let's say. And so, although sometimes it's a pitchfork, sometimes it's a trident for Satan. It's like here and there. Although it's almost spooky season, so you might see some trident Satans out there. Anyways, the point is that it's a weapon that attacks 3 points at once, and it's symbolic in the way that it's attacking three things of being, right? And that's why Satan is the one that uses it in like the Christian iconography, more or less. Because it is that, right? Satan is against the Holy Trinity, so his weapon attacks three. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And so we have this demon god here that's representative of the mountain. We have like these two wings that kind of represent those like humps behind him of those hills behind him. And he sat in that position, carved of stone, and everyone's like worshiping him and giving him food and things like that. So this is very cult like, but I'm curious on what you have to say, Brock, after my little trident diatribe.
Um, there's a couple of different ways that you can look at specifically like this imagery showing up to represent a people. For in one sense, the reason that I had said like POV, your TN, like what's your impression of this, is to see at least this is how I find uh this approaching like the connection to Goku is that for Tien, what is his gut reaction? What is his um you could say like what is your instinctual reaction if you come up against this imagery? Like do you overlook it or do you interact with like the human element of things? And so it's interesting here because it's a portent of chaos. Like the Poseidon and Satan representations both have them deep, like they're from below, wielding a pitchfork that's always pointed up. Like they're not only are they like represented as this enemy or whatever, it's also that it's deep, that it's from below, and it's chaotic, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's this group of people who worship something that's unknown, that's chaotic to you, and you can only judge them by their mode of being and not necessarily by the thing that they're worshiping. Because the thing that they're worshiping is against all of your sense of reason, right?
Right.
So it's kind of for Tien, it operates as this separation because his instinct, which is represented through Chao Tzu, is saying something bad is happening. Like
Hmm.
it's not high resolution enough to say what that bad thing is. Then you meet new people and their faces are all demon faces and they worship a demon with everything that its representation is, and what it represents is oriented against what you consider to be like normative being, that your holy trinity. So I'm saying all of that to represent what this story seems to be about for Tien, right? As he's uh, approaching the unknown, but also in the way that he sees the because of his third eye, like the potential for how good or bad someone can be is scaled up from what it would be for Yamcha or Krillin, let's say, right? Like his perception of what evil is elevated above what Krillin could sensibly perceive of, or what Yamcha could perceive of. So this
Sure.
definitely, and at least as far as I see it, is something that's really to be on in an existential way to be grappled with by like Tien, and then I think that kind of wills itself out as the scenes play out with the other characters.
Yeah, and I think the representation here of the demon and them worshiping it, it's not like I think well, we're gonna see one thing. One thing that Krillin does, the first thing Krillin does basically is he's like, "Let me
Hmm.
be a gooner real quick. Let me be a simp," and he goes and simps up. But like Tien's trying to like take this in and realize like what's going on, like what is the danger for these people, and what is the
Hmm.
danger of worshiping purely, let's say, earthly and capricious spirit, and we'll get to that.
A false idol.
It is. Yeah, it is very much. And so they're like giving it food and stuff, and like obviously he's like super fat. Let's continue. We're gonna see the interplay of that too, and like Tien's gonna have some words to say about that. So that is the toilet demon. That's not actually anything to do with the toilet. And then we get back to Goku. So Goku's still running away. He's doing the same thing. He thinks he gets away from Popo, and he doesn't because he still hasn't learned his lesson.
His lesson being, how do you hide your key?
Right. How, well, and let's explain what that means, what hiding key means. How can how can a person maneuver themselves in the universe such that they don't disturb anything, right? It's such that they flow with the universe so well that they're so open to anything that is interacting with them that they are as if they were, what do I want to say, like almost like a celestial body, I want to say.
Well, it's a question of intelligence and faith, right?
Hmm.
To be able to conceal your key entirely would be to operate in faith. But the existence of your intellect or your ego creates a shadow of yourself. It creates something that can be traced. It's your will imprinting itself and changing
Right.
things. And it's Goku's inability to hide that about himself, to essentially um, to articulate it for what it would mean for Goku to be able to do that specific thing, is like he needs to extrapolate himself out across time.
What do you mean?
Goku, how do I say this in a way that ties it back without me derailing? What I mean is, Goku has to operate in this realm as an idea that is truer than just being true as far as a physical instantiation can be true. Meaning that like Goku needs to be an ideal that is such that the gang can overcome some things that are far more complex than what they're coming up against right now.
Well,
Like
let's
Goku
say
has to,
let's
because he
say
represents an idea, has to be oriented in such a way. Uh, well, you go ahead.
so I was just gonna say, Yeah, I mean, he needs to be oriented in a way that allows him to be receptive to oh goodness, what was I gonna say? You were just saying it. What say what you're gonna say. What say what you were
Well,
just saying.
intelligence and faith, right?
Okay, right. So that faith to be harmonious with the universe and entrusting that is faith, right? Putting your own will aside, a person who can put their will aside and act harmoniously with everything else around them is going to be someone who is not going to um I don't want to say like not be there, but if if goodness, what do I say here? I think what you're saying is good about the intelligence creating a shadow that disrupts it. And so here we have it being Goku trying to act in a way that is harmonious with the universe, that is not disrupted by his own will. And if that can happen, then it's not even Ki is suppressed so much as it is like Ki's not disturbed, I want to say. It's almost that.
Yeah, think the representation of leaving ripples on water and ringing bells and things like that
Right,
is
exactly.
the closest you can get, like in an imagistic way, to the concept of what we're talking about, right? Which is that um the way that you move is so in line with the best way that you could move as a realization of the idea that you are trying to embody or should be embodying, right? And so the disharmoniousness comes from the intellect and comes from like um your own will when it doesn't align.
Well, and it's also
And it's
why
I think, well, I
villains.
want to say that specifically in this instance, Goku is the most faithful character we've seen, right? Like
Oh yeah,
everyone calls
100%.
Goku stupid, but he's the most high faith character we've come across in such a and just so broadly. And yet it's that hard for the person of the most faith to get through the eye of the needle, right? Like Goku is so faithful, and yet, the intellect that he's developed through all of his worldly experiences now is coming up against, like, he has to be even more faithful. You know what I mean?
Right, he has to get rid of that last part. And what had to happen for him last episode for that to happen was he had to almost die.
Basically. And that's what, like, the ego death serves in the story, right? It's like,
Mhm.
do you have too much ego to be able to cross through this?
Right. And yeah,
Or does Goku have to die
the
fighting
ability
himself?
to do that is the way that energy will manifest through a person.
But
And
man, I just love that it's Yajirobe down there ready to catch him if
huh,
he has to go through the death, because Yajirobe was there for him in his
yes.
last ego death, right?
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
it's
Well, his
cool.
last two
It's
ego deaths, if you want to say.
yeah.
But yeah. Um right. And so that's what Goku's trying to do here, and or what he was trying to do. So now he puts on the blindfold and he says he can't see anything, and he's like, chase me around. Let's go back. This is still when he's running from Popo. Here we go. This time you will be it. And
Yep.
so Goku puts it on and he can't catch him. What do you know? He can't catch him. And it's because Goku's just being reactive, right? He's not intuiting things, intuiting the patterns that are before him, let's say. besides sight. It says so. Popo can suppress his ki, you cannot. And this is what we mean. So when Popo becomes harmonious with the mechanics and the rules of the universe, he's not able to show. Oh gosh, it's so hard to explain. He's not able to. It's not even able. I need to not say it that way. When he's able to do that, he doesn't. It's not even leave an imprint. It's like,
Well,
go
Popo
ahead.
tells Goku that inherently, because he's like a conscious being, that he does leave a very faint shadow even when he moves, right? So he tells Goku that even he as Popo would not necessarily be invisible to him if he were fully open and perceiving of other people's ki. So Popo tells him straight up, like, even if I'm hiding my ki, there's a signature of me moving that you would be able to pick up on. And it's to illustrate that in this scene, Goku's not being open. Like it's a failure on Goku's part to be open to detect his ki, and we know that he can because I pointed it out in the last episode. Goku can read ki. Like he says that he can somewhat detect the ki of the doll.
Mm-hmm.
And Popo
Mm-hmm.
has basically told him, if you can detect the doll, you should be able to detect me."
And that's kind of why they moved on too, is because Popo wants to move this to the extreme, and yeah, it is being able to understand that. I think Popo too, having a little bit of a signature, as you were saying, or a little bit of an echo about it. I think that is part of the pattern that he manifests in his, let's say, emptiness, right? So there is a
Yeah,
way,
as a concept.
if it's someone who's perfectly in harmony with the universe, there is that still is a pattern that can be read. And so even though Popo's like perfectly empty, it's like, well, you can track that pattern of emptiness back, right?
Yeah,
And then figure
it's
it out.
hard to articulate almost, but it's like you can have emptiness, but you need to have a word for what emptiness is to express that.
Hmm.
And
And
so
so,
there's emptiness, and then there's, Goku grasping what emptiness is. And
mhm,
Goku, when he's called upon to grasp it, he can't, you know? Like he can't differentiate what it is.
right. And so he's lost, right? He has no orientation, and so he's not able to catch Popo. I think we can move on from there. Yeah, there it is. Quiet your ki and look with your mind. And that's basically what we were getting at. It's the ability to, and that's what your mind does, right? Your eyes see, but your mind recognizes patterns. And
Yeah, and
so
so
the
whenever you come upon a group of people and your mind tells them that they're like a pattern that you deem to be bad, but your eyes are telling you that they're actually good, Like how do you react?
right, yeah. And so here we go back to the festival. Everyone's chilling out. We did see right before, I think we forgot to talk about this, but right before we transitioned into our second half of the episode, I think the crows flew up around the statue and
Yeah, like in an
Chaozu,
ominous way, and
yeah,
then nothing happened.
yeah. And so at the festival, everyone's kind of chilling out, except Chaozu still very focused on the mountain. And Tien is a little upset about this as well. Um, because like we said, it's that intuitive nature that Tien can get from Chiatsu. And so during the festival here, Krillin will be given some alcohol by just some dude. And he's like, all right, let's go. And he drinks it. And then Krillin, who's simping hard for this girl Mint, challenges her brother to a fight, but only after this guy already challenges Tien. So there's something too about it that Tien is like uneasy in this whole episode while they're around. He's like trying to, shake
Yep.
it off, all this, and Krillin then decides to volunteer to fight him instead to impress Ment, and he goes up and, of course, like we've been saying, they are like the fastest, strongest guy. So, this earthly representation here is pretty good at holding his own against Krillin, although Krillin's pretty drunk. But he does eventually lose. And so Krillin knocks him out, and all the animals start freaking out, and Chiaotzu's like, the mountain's going to explode. So let's pause there. So let's say the first things we see for this part, oh my gosh, it's kind of a long sequence, is them like fighting and chilling out and drinking and all that. They're having a festival, as we know. They're all eating on the ground, they're serving meat, etc. The only thing I want to say about this is I don't want to say base, but like the sport they have is like fighting, and it's like, yeah, it's very common. It's not too sophisticated, let's say, or anything. I know it's also in Dragon Ball, so it's supposed to be that. But it is something that's very grounded, right? It's very primal, and so it kind of reflects in the way that they celebrate their festival. You're the strongest person in the world, Paru.
You're the strongest. We
let
love
me
that.
fix this because it's not working again.
Dude, all the snap zooms of this dude with a good. I love it.
There we go. All right, so after he's told like, "Oh, you're the strongest," this guy's like, "Nah, Tien's the strongest," and then Krillin's like, "Well, he might be, but I'm stronger than you." They're all operating at the peak of the earthly realm, let's say, and so it's no surprise that they're able to take this person. He's representative of a few things, like village protector, let's say, and he's also a brother, so he has some fraternal representation. But Krillin, I mean, he's already, I mean, he passed his fraternity days a long time ago, let's say, and he is obviously a spirit instantiated above Pauru. Pauru, I think that's how you say it. What do you have to say about this part, Brock?
Well, Pauru correctly recognizes Tien as the person that he should challenge, right? And there is something interesting to me about how he correctly points himself at Tien as someone that he should engage with. And then Krillin, who he's handed this cup, and his instincts tell him to ask, like, "Whoa, I don't want to drink anything alcoholic." And then they lie to him and they say, "Oh, it's just juice." And then he drinks it and he gets drunk. But the question is if he gets literally drunk or if he's acting drunk in the sense that he's drunk on his interaction with people whenever he's in this position that he's in. But regardless of that, I think that it's his interjection and him being drunk when he does it that kicks off this series of events that Chiaotzu correctly warned Tien about. Yeah, and in Tien's perspective, it's sort of like it's Tien. I would say it's Tien's responsibility to interject and say, like, "Sit down, Krillin. Like, I'm not going to give this guy a disservice by having a sparring match with him in his hierarchy." Let's say.
Hmm. What do you, explain that more?
Well, Krillin is drunk as he goes into this fight, right?
Right.
And Krillin, as someone who should be able to navigate the world and as someone who's responsible for being a very powerful person in this world, he sort of, as soon as he comes in contact with a girl in that Roshi way, he just goes like, "Oh well, whatever. I'm not gonna. How did you say? I'm not going to carry myself in a way that is becoming of a heroic spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna allow myself to get drunk in the presence of like a girl that I found cute." It's kind of the thing separated from Goku. Krillin is much more like Roshi, and he's very indulgent in that sense. He's like that Roshi spirit that's so connected to Goku. So he's kind of Roshi turned loose. So of course he drinks when he meets a cute girl, and then he, because of his ego, because of his foolhardiness, he insists upon himself to be this duel with this random guy because he wants to impress the girl, right?
Right. I think
And so he
too.
takes it from Tien, and Tien knows this is not a good thing because the result of this is Krillin essentially, without portraying himself in an orderly manner, dethrones the guy who sort of represents the virtuous masculine like character in this hierarchy.
Yes. And as a
Which then immediately causes the
yes.
animals to freak out and all of that, right?
Well, yeah, it's the upturning of the present order, the earthly order, right? And that's what these four are basically doing in these episodes. They're like almost
It makes me
missionary
think of Star
monks.
Trek, honestly, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Because Krillin is like this almost he's this almost elevated spirit who comes in and doesn't conduct himself in a way that is becoming and in a sense like disrupts the natural order of things and has to, he creates this situation that requires a higher order of thinking than he's currently on, which is represented by Tien, to approach, right?
Well, it's also like the idea of beautiful things pointing out ugly things, because once these people see that there is a mode of being that is beyond the earthly and um that's worth striving for, then the power of this god is over, and he's not
Yeah.
going to be happy about that.
Well, what is chaotic is manifestly chaotic, right?
Hmm.
And
And
but
so,
the existence of order makes it evident immediately that the order of the mountain is not an order, but it's a chaotic uh,
right,
construction
and that
for them.
nature tends to be chaotic,
Yeah, and
right?
the existence of the chaotic nature means that it needs to be addressed, and so it's imminently like, okay, welcome to another level of consciousness. Deal with the mountain that explodes into fire, right?
Right, and that's precisely what these guys bring, but they're, I mean, we're going to see that. Let's go on to the excursion. So Chiaotzu's like, "Oh, the mountain's god is gonna explode." These people are like, "No way! Our mountain god would never explode. He's never exploded before."
And in Tien's brain, he's like, I know how this.
Oh my gosh! Why does it do this? Why does it do this to me? All right, there we go. And then it starts. An earthquake starts, and all this. Got to hold up the statue. And then the mountain explodes, just like Chiaotzu said. And this old guy says, "The mountain god has been angered. We must pray to it." And my thing is freaking broken again. Oh my god. I don't know why, in what world is making it do this. So we must pray to it. We must appease him. The lava
I told you,
flows
Chris
down.
Sombra. I told you there was a volcano episode with these guys.
And so then basically they all run in. Tien's like, if Goku could do it, I can do it. So you're right about that.
Yep.
He is very much doing that. So I'll do it with my own strength. And they run towards the lava to try to stop it. And that's where we end off basically.
Yep.
So right, I think it's a really good explanation. It's a really good like condensed episode to explain the lower level analysis, or let's say the lower level consciousness is what I should say, for the worshiping of the earthly things, right? And so when it's presented that there is an enlightened path, that shakes up the order of the world, and change is always messy, and so that's kind of what we see with the emergence of the chaos of the world in the form of the volcano.
Well, I think that there's also the element, and I keep pointing to this, but with Tien being an active element, and he's being warned by Chaozu Tzu for a reason, right? He can recognize the pattern that's playing out before him. And I think that there's a different path that doesn't include destruction that Tien would be able to instantiate if he was at a higher level than he is.
Had he been
Because what?
fully incorporated, let's say.
Yeah, because he's not right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I think you are definitely onto something there, because he had chances to do so, and yeah, I think as a leader, he really let Krillin just be like, okay, well, we're so much higher than you, so like start thinking different. It's like, okay, well, that's a very violent way to like present this idea to the people.
yeah, and instead, Tien could be an ideal. He could be an ethic by which he could
Sure, yeah,
represent, like,
definitely.
this is how you could be like me. And that's what Goku's trying to become in his struggle right now, because he's stepping from being an instantiation to being an idea, right? And
Yeah.
Tien could be an idea for the people here to emulate, that would be like a higher level than this demon statue, right? But instead, Krillin destroys it by being a joke, right?
Being a
He comes
simp.
into the ring
Well,
drunk.
not just a joke, but being a simp, right? Don't forget the
Right, but well,
simpery.
by being a simp, he makes himself into a joke,
Yes, yes.
because the way that he knocks out her older brother is by staring at her and then accidentally knocking him out.
Yeah.
And it sort of besmirches his honor, you could say.
Right, and I
Whereas,
mean that's why
and there's
it's
a
such a violent reaction.
moment before this fight where Tien specifically points out that he understands his responsibility in accepting it. There's a little moment there, right?
Mhm.
Where I think it's Yamcha who turns to him and is like, "Wait, Tien," and he goes, "I know," right? And he kind of like gives a look. And I think it was his responsibility to ease the people of this like community into a higher order of thinking. But then you
Yes.
have Krillin who comes in and who allows himself to get drunk kind of willingly, like he knows better, right? His instinct, his gut feeling, which
Right,
is
cuz
kind of represented throughout the episode,
don't the
tells
others
him that he
also
shouldn't
get
do it.
offered that drink and they don't drink
Yeah.
it?
Well, they
Yeah.
don't just chug it like he does, right?
Oh yeah.
He happily drinks, he happily indulges, right?
Yeah.
And you see that Tien doesn't, and he has every responsibility to represent the team, but he doesn't do it. And so there's a lot being communicated through the way this episode plays out, I think.
And I think at the end too, it's why Tien's like, I'll do it with my own strength. It's like that's
Yeah.
something that
He's
he
like,
knows it's
it's
not
still my
leadership. Yeah.
responsibility to fix, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like Krillin fucked this up. It's my responsibility to fix it because
Krillin
I could
fucked
have
it up. Is
prevented
this the first time Krillin fucked it up?
it. I guess, yeah. But
That's
that's what
hilarious.
Krillin's role is here as Roshi, right? Because it's the negative aspect of Roshi as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first thing
Well,
they have to really come
negative
across as a team
aspect,
is to find out what they're leaving behind about Roshi by coming into the world, right?
right? And what does the negative aspect of Roshi do? But ruthlessly point out a person's flaws. And it's like Krillin's like, here's the flaws of your society, crumble with them. It's like, oh my
Yep.
gosh, Krillin, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it also harkens back to what Roshi had to do to put out the mountain on fire before, which we'll fucking get to, right?
Yes.
But like, but it's like that's the Roshi. The Roshi initiates this violent change. And
Right.
so it's not an accident. It's not just a filler episode that we see Krillin initiating this Fire Mountain in the same way that we had a Roshi as the resolution to Fire Mountain earlier in the first season of the show, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Definitely,
but
definitely.
I mean that ties back to everything that I've been saying about Krillin since we started with this analysis, which is that he shows up as like a Roshi reflection from the very beginning for Goku. So now Tien has to deal with having a Roshi reflection, right? Because he is trying to be Goku, and he says it out loud, like Goku could do this, so I can, you know. So he has to deal with the weight of having been trained by Roshi now, and individuating himself in that. So I like this episode a lot more than I thought I would. Just talking through it because it's it's important to ground what's happening with the people aside from Goku before this existential threat of Piccolo Jr. comes in, right?
Well, it's also going to really paint, and this is something that really was a benefit, I think. I'm not entirely sure on this, but I think the manga at this point for Dragon Ball was done far before the anime for Dragon Ball was done. I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong. But at any rate, I think they had time to, I think they like knew what the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai was like about and stuff before they wrote these.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, it really paints where the characters are also going, right? Krillin's reflection of the Roshi, I've always liked that analysis, but I also think that he is, or let's say it's not necessarily like the weight of having Roshi or whatever, let's say, but it is the weight of leadership and like the taking of responsibility for those that aren't as, let's say, enlightened as you. And so like even with Krillin, I think with his simpingness, his simpy nature, it does come from old Roshi for sure. But I don't think that, and this is a reason I think it doesn't, I mean, it does kind of stay around, but it's not like a big factor in the story or anything.
Well, he kind of outgrows it at this point.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna get to. Is like,
that's why
this,
he's already representing it for somebody other than Goku. He's kind of, you know, he's an idea without context, kind of, you know, how
right.
do you use him until he's relevant?
Yeah. And we'll see that exact thing happen. His relevancy, let's say,
Yeah.
become apparent. I mean, even in next episode. So, anyways, so yeah, I think that Tien's failing here is like we said, it's almost a spiritual one. It's not even about strength, and that's why at the end, him saying he's gonna fix it with strength is like kind of not the appropriate answer, but it is an acceptable answer because it's gonna help like save these people's lives, which is obviously better than not. But he also isn't like leading them to enlightenment at this point per se. And so
it's kind of the inverse of his previous episode with the beast. What's his name? Inochi Kacho or whatever.
Shikacho.
Shikacho, yeah.
How could you forget?
It's kind of the inverse of that. You know, it's like coming full circle from the way that he was kind of introduced, which is his interactions with random communities of people out in the woods, you know?
Right. And before he and Chiaotzu would lead them to degradation because of their scamming and I mean, they would also like deceive them and be like, we're gonna, help get this monster or whatever, and then
He would help perpetuate the chaos.
yeah, and that leads to fear, and like that leads to, like I said, like spiritual degradation, right? It leads to
Yeah.
despair eventually, and so like he's basically spreading despair and fear, and here he's supposed to be spreading enlightenment. It is, you are right, it is very much the opposite. Um,
It's like he's
the
called
opposite one,
upon to a
and
new community
but
to be
you know,
different this time, you know?
what I also like about the Krillin comparison with the Roshi is that he's basically acting this way in an embodiment of the Roshi to expose the spiritual failure of Tien.
And that's why it's wrong that he does what he does, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in line with like there's an inherent failing when you don't work to have it full like integrated properly, you know?
Hmm.
And TN coming out and basically saying like not understanding that he needs to do his own like he has to work to cover that up, you know what I mean? Like he has to like he has a responsibility that he carries with him by having that as part of who he is, and that he instead of stepping up, letting it be visible is kind of the wrong thing for him to do, and it's also obviously the wrong thing for Krillin to do. But it's his responsibility to fix it, and that, you know, like we were saying, it's like that's why he's called to react to it the way he does.
Right. 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 And I think that gives us to a good spot. Any concluding thoughts from you? I think we talked this one out pretty good.
Uh, no, I think that's pretty much it. I actually haven't watched the next episode on my rewatch yet, so but I've kind of I generally remember kind of what's going on with it. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I didn't have any notes for this episode going in, but just trying to talk it out, it makes more sense, right?
Yeah, it fits in really, really well, and contrasts a lot of things excellently, and then you know it also goes in line with all of what we've been saying about the spirituality, the emptiness, the openness. There's all of that within this like little village arc the boys have, as well as what Goku's going through right now with Popo. So I think, yeah, it's very good. I have only encountered one episode I didn't really like still, so
Yeah, no, this is in keeping with the original idea, which is every episode has something to talk about. So
yeah. Well, very good. We will go ahead and sign off then. I've been your host on the left, Owl,
I'm your host on the right, Brock.
and we hope you guys have a good night.
In an enchanted land that seemed untouched by the steady march of time, there lived an old master named Gohan, who found a baby boy abandoned in the wilderness of the region. The old master raised the boy as his own child, and marveled as the youngster grew and became uncommonly strong. Now the boy, known as Goku, is on his own, and has become the sole guardian of his grandfather's most mystical possession, his Dragon Ball.